On the 12th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 12 gingerbread men. We hope you will follow along as we share how we make this very old recipe of gingerbread men. Starting off with our liquid ingredients, and I'm starting with margarine, and this is olive oil base cell. That's the kind that I use. It makes for nice soft cookies. Now, at one point, I believe this recipe did call for shortening. Use olive oil base cell. So we've switched it to margarine over the years, and that makes for a really nice soft. Actually, I'm going to cream the butter and the sugar. This is 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of margarine. Hard to believe this is our last recipe in our 12 days of Christmas. We're just going to add 1 egg into the mix. These eggs have been double yolk in this pack, so it does have 2 yolks. Cooking molasses. We have 2 kinds of molasses here in Canada. We have regular molasses and then cooking molasses, and I usually choose this for any baking that's specifically designed for baking. I'm just using the same measuring cup that I did for my butter or my margarine. Okay, and then seems to be a theme in my last recipes here. We have a sort of a secret ingredient. This is the same thing I use in pie dough and my egg tarts. Is a little bit of vinegar. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of vinegar. So that's going to be 2 tablespoons of vinegar. A lot of very old recipes I've used out of our cookbooks have vinegar in baking. Various reasons. So it's 2 tablespoons of vinegar. For pie dough, it helps them to be very flaky. For our dry ingredients, we're starting out with 5 cups of unbleached all-purpose flour. And to that, I'm going to add my soda, so baking soda. That's 1.5 teaspoons. 1.5 teaspoons baking soda, half a teaspoon of salt, and then for the good part, the spices. For gingerbread cookies, as you can probably guess, it has ginger. 1, 2, 3. 1 teaspoon cinnamon. And 1 teaspoon cloves. Just got some fresh cloves. It's very important to make sure your spices are fresh. If you can grind them yourself, even better, because that is what makes cookies delicious. Now I'm going to add my dry into my liquid. You can also make a well in the center of your flour and add your liquid into your dry. But this works well too for me. I find the really old recipes that have been tried and true, our old Nova Scotia recipes, they are so good. Like our egg tarts, they've been used and made in Nova Scotia for hundreds of years. I just put my dough out here on a lightly floured surface. I'm just going to kind of work it into a ball, and then I'm going to split it into 2 and roll it out. I don't want to work it too much. It's not like bread dough. I don't need it at all. It's more like how you would treat a pie dough. I'm actually going to roll this out onto a piece of parchment, so I'm just going to have it ready for when I get back so that we can cut out the cookies together. And add a little flour as I roll it out. I'm going to make these a bit thicker than I made my sugar cookies, because we like them a bit more chewy. This on a cookie tray. You don't have to chill this, but I'm going to chill it just because I don't have time to do it right now before I pick up my kids. I'm just cutting out my cookies now. I had to pause for a little bit. So like I was saying before, you don't have to chill this dough. But in my case, I had to pick up my children, so I did need to pause it. And that is the thickness of my cookies. You can make them thicker, thinner, whatever your heart desires. I ended up cutting my dough in thirds. So this is just a third of my dough here. So this will probably make, let's see, close to 10 gingerbreads by the time I'm said and done. On my parchment, and I'll roll out a bit more dough. So our gingerbread men are ready to pop in the oven. They are going to go in at 375 for 9 to 10 minutes. For me, it's going to be about 9 minutes. So here they go. My son says, I hope they don't run away. He loves the story of the little gingerbread men. So I just popped these guys out of the oven at about 9 minutes after. I'm just going to show you. They might not look done, but if you flip them over, they're just a hint of brown. That's how you know they're done. So these guys will cool and then we'll frost them up. So I'm just going to make up a small batch of royal icing to go on our gingerbread. So I'm using 2 cups of icing sugar, and I'm using meringue powder. And this is 1.5 tablespoons. So 1.5 tablespoons meringue powder, and then about 5 tablespoons of water. And I'm just going to whisk that together. 1, 2, 3. I'll start with 4, and I'll see if I need any more. So I don't want this to be super thin. This is not really for flooding. This is for outlining. Woohoo! And basically, yeah, I just want this to do like just some little accents on the gingerbread. You can add food coloring into this. You can use gel food coloring. Now I'm going to beat this on a high speed. I just want to whisk it till it was mixed together. So I'm going to beat this for about 2 minutes on a high speed. And that's all there is to it. Okay, so this is all mixed up, and this is the consistency that I did because I want mine just to be more like an outline on my cookies this time. So it wouldn't be good for flooding, but good for outlining. So I'm just using a reusable, or actually a disposable bag, and I'm using a number 2 tip today. I put that in, and then I just kind of judge where it needs to go. And I cut the tip off. Don't want it to go inside. Okay, and then I use a cup, and I roll that over top of my cup so that I can easily add my icing into my bag. Works pretty good. That way I make less mess. I'm just going to quickly fill up my icing bag, hopefully with not too much mess, and decorate some gingerbread men before they run away, right?
Yeah.
My son always thinks the gingerbread are going to run away. My icing bag's all nicely filled up.
This brings us to the end of the 12 days of Christmas. We are not professional decorators. I just try to make these look nice for my kids, and they are very happy with them. So thanks for all of your support, and I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about our mostly Nova Scotia recipes during the 12 days of Christmas.